Protesting has been a prominent part of United States history for centuries. You have the Civil Rights Movement, the American Revolution, although I don't really know if that's protesting, that's just violence. And then there's whenever I don't get my food in time. Recently, with the Palestine versus Israel conflict we have going on here, there's a lot of protesting that I personally just don't agree with because I don't think it's okay at all. Now, just to get this out of the way, two things. One, I don't watch the news. I think the news is stupid. I think the news is just, it is circulated and it is pushed out to people dependent on who pays for it. And I think every single channel is biased, regardless of what you think. Regardless of your political party is biased and the other one is also biased. So get that through your head. And the second thing is, I don't care too much about the Palestine versus Israel movement. I don't know enough about it. I don't really prefer a side. I just want the United States to be doing better for itself, which it's not. So I don't have an opinion towards that. But what I do have an opinion towards is the actions of some of these college students that I got to experience when I had the displeasure of watching the news on accident. So I was doom scrolling on TikTok a few days ago, as you do naturally, as the government wants to ban that. Can you believe that? They want to get rid of doom scrolling. But regardless, I came across an ABC 7 video that showed a helicopter POV of an all-out war, an all-out brawl. They were playing like Brawlhalla over here, and they were just like a bunch of these college students in the middle of this courtyard, and in the middle of the night, you have like the Palestine and the Israel side, and they were just like, they were doing Roman formations. They had, like the shields, and they use umbrellas as like shields and the sticks as spears. They're like the Romans, like boom, boom. And then they had like planks of wood, and then they had sticks. So let me set the stage here. There were this group of protesters. I think it was a pro-Palestine movement. Group of protesters blocking off space as they usually do. First of all, that's the part I don't agree with, right? If you're going to protest, you can hold up signs and say, we want blah, blah, blah. We want blah, blah, blah. You can do that in the middle of the road. That's fine. But whenever you block roads and whenever you stop people from getting to where they need to go, that's when it becomes an issue, okay? Or at least to me. And once it gets violent, that's when it becomes a whole other issue. But so to set the stage, middle of the night, tons of tents in this UCLA campus courtyard. Very beautiful place, I must say, very nice. A lot of tents, a lot of students just chilling out. And then the camera pans over, and then it's just a wall of wood. And then it's a bunch of umbrellas. And then that's the Israel side, the people who vote for, not vote, but the people who want Israel to win, I guess. I don't know too much about the situation, but this is what I've gathered so far. And you know how little children go up to a light switch and go, it was like that. The fighting was on and off like a light switch. The fighting was just like, it would just explode and then it would die down. It would explode and then it would die down. And then as the fight proceeded, there are of course multiple people streaming it on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. And then of course you have the main characters of the scene. There was this one guy that was just like, I think it was the Israel side, who just kind of went up in front of the wall barricade and was like, for like 5 minutes. And then people like pepper sprayed him, threw water on him, beat him with sticks, all this stuff. Pretty bad scenario to be in, if I may say so myself. And this is the kind of protesting that I completely disagree with. I don't advocate. I don't really know if my opinion matters too much on this, but this is not okay at all, because not only is this happening at UCLA, it's happening everywhere at all college campuses. Not all college campuses, but quite a bit. And if you don't notice already, I am home right now. And when I came home, my family asked me if this was going on at my college campus, if this was going on at my primarily liberal college campus. And I said, no, it's not, because there's not really anything going on my campus except for a few t-shirts being hung on fences, which is a completely different story. But I saw their faces and they had genuine worry. And it was kind of funny because not only was it genuine worry, but it was also kind of humorous. They're like, is this happening at your school? Like, is that, they're pointing to the TV, is that happening at your school? I was like, no, it's not. It's not happening at my school. You know why it's not happening at my school? Because they have me, juggernaut, godlike Giga Chad over here. They would never fight in my presence. And they know by my aura, not my stench, my aura, that if they ever dare to fight in my presence, I would just be there and the fighting would stop. All jokes aside, though, this situation is pretty scary, because imagine you're just a regular dude and you're just walking through college campus at night trying to go get some Starbucks at 3 a.m. or whatever. And then you hear, "Free Palestine, go Israel." And then you just start getting shanked. Because I don't know if you pay attention to these kind of things. I try to, at least on the news, when stuff like this happens. I'm going to use both hands for this. I'm a very visual speaker with my hands. I like to use my hands for a lot of things. pause. But when I was observing the chaos that was ensuing at this college campus, there weren't only college students. Not most, but a large portion of these protesters were just random people. Most of them were just old dudes. And I don't think they even know what they're protesting for. I don't mean to pick sides here, but I remember watching a TikTok video of this guy with his phone walking up to a bunch of like a pro-Palestine movement, and these people, these group of young, extremely enlightened individuals were dancing, blocking the road, throwing up signs and stuff like that, saying, "We want an intifada, we want an intifada." And then he went like this with his phone. He was like, "Do you know what an intifada is?" And they were just over here like, so. To put it into perspective here, let me put my phone down. To put it into perspective, an intifada is a violent upbringing. It is a violent resistance. It's like revolution, like cool, revolution, great. Violence, and remember, I'm not against either side. I think both sides are equally shitty. I think violence is a true issue here because the root of all of this is just violence. A lot of unnecessary violence, a lot of innocent people that are dying that don't deserve to die. Hot take, but I don't think people should be fighting this much. I know, magma take, lava take. Cancel me. I might be Captain Obvious here, but this kind of stuff, this violence doesn't make me too happy. You know how it is? I can't stand it. I might have to get involved, I might have to stop it. I might have to step in. All jokes aside though, these kind of massive riots that involve two large groups, or probably even more than two large groups of people who all believe in extremely different things, just brawling it out, and there's just a ton of combat, like ducking and weaving, fighting with like sticks. A lot of that can, of course it's dangerous and of course it's deadly, but with all the combat and especially how dark it is, the physicality of that situation is really scary and really risky, because I don't think it's impossible for that news footage that they were streaming live of the UCLA big fight, the war, the militarization of protesting is what I heard about it. I don't doubt that there was at least a few times when someone was actually stabbed with a shank in that news footage, and people just weren't able to catch it in time. Because when you look at the footage, the UCLA campus protesting fight footage, there's a lot of strobe lights. It is dark outside. It's like midnight, I think. It is very dark outside. There are a ton of people. There is a ton of shade, and there are a ton of strobe lights. And there's just a lot of fighting, and there's a lot of dogpiling. And I would not be surprised if someone got stabbed, shot, whatever. It's really scary. And I really hope that, this is going to sound insane, I hope no one got hurt, because it's very important to keep hope levels up in these kind of situations. But people definitely, went home in the ambulance, put on some stretchers, broke some limbs. You can't stop this. You can't. And this kind of stuff is happening at Florida. It's happening at New York. It's happening all over the United States, because for some reason, people think that protesting like this will change anything, which goes into my second point. I don't care what you're protesting for. You could be protesting for the best thing in the world. You can be protesting for Jesus Christ to start the rapture early. You could be protesting for the best thing in the entire universe, and I won't respect you. If you sit in the road, you take super glue, you glue your hand to the road, and you're like, I'm not moving until my request is fulfilled. Or you go into a museum and you throw tomato soup on a famous painting. Or you block people's commute to work. I will never ever respect you regardless of what side you take, because it does not take a genius to realize that does absolutely nothing. Let me take a drink. This Celsius flavor is really good, by the way. Celsius Astro Vibe. I'm a big fan of Blue Raspberry. If any Celsius employees are watching this, find your boss, get them to sponsor me. I am a Celsius addict. Sorry to say this, but if you protest in the middle, I think protesting in the middle of the road, if you're going to walk and if you're going to hold up signs, that's cool. That's fine. Whatever, just let the cars go around you. But if you're going to get violent about it, and if you're going to block people's commute to work, if you're going to make it so people can't go to their minimum wage job and live a life that they hate, you are a bad person and you are not doing what you need to be doing, because protesting like that, think about it for a second, does nothing. Cancel me. Actually, don't cancel me. I'm too small of a channel to get canceled just yet, I think. Hot take, that stuff doesn't work. This kind of protesting does not work. You know the kind of protesting that does? Peaceful protesting in numbers. That's why we are allowed to do peaceful protests. Even that, most of the time, unfortunately, does not work, because the people with money make the decisions. The people with money need to do what they want for it to actually work. And I'm sorry, you could hate me for all you want. That is the reality of the situation, because most of protesting is just, I think, useless. Most of it is primarily for getting your voice out, which you could say, oh, that's all protesting is for. But you wouldn't protest just to get your voice out. You would protest to make a change. But there's no changes being made by doing this. You're not going to free Palestine or free Israel by stopping Carol from working at McDonald's. Like, that's not how that works. But regardless, if you take part in violent protests, if you use protesting as an opportunity to loot stores, if you block people going from the road, regardless of what you believe in, I don't like you. I think you're a bad person and you need to do some reflecting. Hot take, stay safe.